Okay, welcome to another episode of Women Petpreneurs Podcast with your host, Mary Oquendo. So my guest today is Lorane Belanger. Hi, Lorane.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. Nice and cold, but can't complain.
Oh, that's right. You're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm Maine, actually.
Oh, Maine.
Yeah.
Holy cow. My daughter's in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's been sending me the pictures and I'm like, this former Northeasterner is really happy out here on the Pacific side of the country.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, no, I'll not miss the snow.
Oh, I'm a little envious because I could use with no snow.
Yeah. I mean, we got snow here a couple of days ago, but it's it's the nothing snow. It's the
Yeah.
snow that it just looks pretty.
Yeah.
And then it goes away. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's my type of snow. I should be where you are.
Yeah, you should. You should. I cannot imagine. My daughter goes, well, can you come up at Christmas time? I'm like, no. No.
Yeah.
Snowing there. Are you kidding?
We're supposed to get a foot on Tuesday, so we'll see.
Yeah. So we had an option of seeing her, my daughter in New Hampshire, in either for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And I'm like, no, we might get away with no snow around Thanksgiving.
Right, yeah.
But I'm not taking the chance. And the thing is, right, the problem wasn't your area for that snow. It was out here.
Oh,
Yeah, it was out in this direction that they were canceling flights left and right out of SeaTac
I
because
didn't even think of that. You're right.
yeah, it's like, what do you mean the flights are canceled? I mean, there were flights canceled all over the whole country, except basically if you were already in the Northeast, you guys were good. Every place else, that was a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we went to see her Thanksgiving rather than Christmas because there was no snow.
Yeah. I'd rather no snow. That's a good choice.
Yeah, no snow is always a good choice. I mean, fortunately, I did bring like a good winter coat out here, gloves and hats. So I'm prepared for it. I just don't want to. It's like pulling my winter coat out of the closet. We gotta wear a winter coat. I hate this.
With slight tears coming down.
Yeah. This is terrible. So yeah. And I've always said I want to be that person who no longer can drive in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I that's like that's a life goal right now for me.
Right.
To
That's
not
kind of that's a good goal. Now that I think of it, I think that's maybe something I'm going to aspire to. Just be that person who can't drive in the snow.
Yeah, I wanted to be so long since I've had to drive in snow. I have forgotten how to drive in snow.
Yeah.
Okay. That again, for me, that's a legitimate life goal at this point. But anyway, appreciate you taking time out of your day to come onto the podcast.
Of course.
How did you get started in the pet industry?
So it's actually kind of a funny story. When I was about in third grade, a friend of mine gave me a puppy. And my dad said, in order for me to have this puppy, I have to groom it. So he bought me a pair of clippers, a pair of scissors, and he says, you're not going to a groomer, you're going to have to figure it out. And I used to groom this dog once every couple months with tears saying how much I hated my life and just is awful, And then it wasn't until, with my life choices, it wasn't until a little bit before graduating high school, I inherited some money for graduating and I bought a horse instead of a car, which is what my parents wanted me to do. So they told me I needed a job. And lo and behold, my first job was a bather at a PetSmart. And that was my first job. And I've never not worked in a grooming salon since then.
Yeah. I think so many of us have our start in corporate because that's where I got my start too. I was a bather for Petco. It was the help wanted sign there. and I applied and started the next day. And that's it.
And the history's made.
History's made. We go from there.
Yeah.
I can remember, I don't think I was working there a week, probably not, maybe 2 weeks, but I think more like a week, when the assistant manager comes walking into the grooming room and she goes to me, "Grooming school starts tomorrow, yes or no?" I'm like, yes.
Pretty much that's what happened with us. I think I was working there probably a little bit about a month. And they said, "Oh, you have a class starting for grooming schools to become a groomer. It's up in Danvers. We're not putting you up in a hotel. You'll have to drive." And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's nice. How far was Danvers from you?
It was an hour. So it was,
something.
yeah, it wasn't too long. It was just not knowing. At that time, I just stayed in New Hampshire. I lived in New Hampshire at that time. Like, oh my gosh, driving to Mass. Now I drive all over the place, which is a joke that I thought Danvers was too far.
Yeah, the school I went to was about, if there was no traffic, there was maybe a little over an hour to get there. Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Traffic on the other hand. So I literally, school was from like 8 to 4. We were supposed to stay to 4 o'clock. And I was like, I'm not staying here to 4 o'clock. If I stay here to 4 o'clock, that means you're adding an hour to my commute time. I will I will come in 10 minutes early if that is a problem. Okay. But I am leaving at 3:50, because if I leave at 3:50, I am just going to miss traffic.
Yeah, that is smart.
Yeah. The traffic was so bad one time. I got off the highway because, you know what, I'm going to be sitting in traffic. I'm going to grab a cup of tea. So I get off the exit because it said it had food. Apparently the food was like 1.5 miles down the road and not even like an on-ramp over there. I literally got off the highway, drove 1 mile, got a cup of tea, drove the mile back because again, there was no on-ramp down that area.
Right.
Got back on to be like exactly where I left off.
Oh my gosh.
Unless I had a hot cup of tea.
No kidding.
So
it must have been a great cup of tea.
well, the fact that it needed to yeah, it was. So I think I actually went to the bathroom too. So there we go. Bladder empty, hot cup of tea. Yeah. And then the decision is made. We ain't doing this again.
Yeah.
And I found 10 minutes was the magic number. As long as I was left at 3:50 and in my car, then I was good.
Yep. Oh, look at the little one right in there.
Say hello, Pooh. Come on. Oh, yeah.
So content in there.
Yeah, this is where he lives. The other thing that's really nice about the Pacific Northwest, right? So we don't get, where I'm here in this part of Washington, we don't get really extremes of temperature. So it doesn't get extraordinarily cold. It doesn't get extraordinarily hot. I mean, there are like little pockets where for a couple of days it's stupid cold. And for a couple of days it gets stupid hot. And that's really important is because this dog here lives in the sweatshirt. So come August, when you guys are dying out in Maine, it's relatively comfortable here. So I could sit in a sweatshirt in my office and not die.
Oh my gosh. You found that little slice of heaven I think everyone's longing for.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, the downside is my husband will tell you it rains here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I'm of the mindset I would much rather it rain a lot than we get snow a lot.
Oh man, I mean, it's the same thing. It's clouds. It's not the sun's night out. Might as well be rain versus snow.
Rain is way better than snow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So every time he's moaning about it's raining again, well, I'm like, how much snow did we get over the winter?
Yeah.
The entire course of the winter doesn't equal to like one snowstorm.
Oh gosh, that's envious. You know, it makes me laugh because every time I go outside, I'm like, why do I live in a place where the air hurts my face?
Yeah.
You know, and it's a valid question.
I know it's about, and here's the other perks here, right? They're on this side of the state. There are no venomous snakes.
Oh,
Yeah. Now let's talk the eastern side of the state where it snows a lot and there's rattlesnakes and all those good things over there. There's none of it over here.
I didn't even think of that. I always laugh at a story that my husband's grandmother, she was enjoying a summer day, and all of a sudden there was a bird that was flying up high, drops a snake onto his grandmother's head. So she, since then, has been like, nope, I am done with all of this outside and being in here, and can't even trust the weather to be nice. The snake might fall on your head.
Yeah, that'd be a little iffy. I remember I grew up in Yonkers, New York, and in Yonkers they had the Sawmill River. And until the Army Corps of Engineers came in and like fixed the flooding problem on that, it would flood really bad.
No kidding, yeah.
So I can remember one year the flooding was so bad. It was so bad. Literally, you could like walk down the street and the snakes were everywhere because,
oh gosh, no.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, there'd be like, you'd be walking and then a snake would fall out of a tree like in front of your feet. And you're like,
yeah.
I'm done. Day's over.
Day's over. Go back home, go back inside. There's just don't go anywhere.
So we had an older house. The house was one of the first houses in that particular neighborhood. And so the plumbing was a little old, right? And now the plumbing, when you were on city, one of the not perks of being on not having like a septic system, because we're septic here now, but having like sewers, right, which means things can crawl up into yeah. So we had this little half bathroom off on the side of the kitchen. And my mother opens up the door and she closes it and she goes, there's a cottonmouth in the bathroom. Came up to the toilet, wrapped around the toilet bowl. So she closed the door and, she goes, you need to do something about that.
I think you need to sell the house.
Almost. So there was, so my father calls the police and the police come and of course they come in pairs. So there's 2 cop cars. So they open up the door and they go, oh yeah, I ain't getting that. And they sit down with my father. I understand this is the 60s, a little bit different time. Okay. So they're like, call the fire department. So the cops sit down. My father cracks open a couple of beers for them. Okay. And the fire department comes. All right. And they park in front of our house and they go, oh yeah, that's not in our job description either. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So we got 2 cop cars and a big old fire truck. And again, now the fireman is sitting around my kitchen table, cracking open a beer. Okay. They finally call animal control, who comes and get the snake. And then my mother had that bathroom taken out of the house. That was the end of that bathroom.
Just a smart woman. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
My husband is more of a save the animal. I'm like, move, sell it. I'm sure we can get money. Let's get something else.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right. So I had another client where I had a client, they moved, and then another client moved into that house. It was like really weird. So in between there was somebody else, but I ended up going back to that same house twice. But anyway, the first time for the first owners, I'm sitting in the kitchen waiting to get paid. And I always give the dogs like a little treat. So I gave Wesley a treat and he sat down and then he got up and he just left. Okay. I didn't think anything of it. And then the 10-year-old boy walks past me, walks into where the table is and sighs heavily. He goes, Dad, there's another snake in the kitchen. And now I'm in the kitchen and I'm not wearing my glasses. And I don't want to move because I don't know exactly where the snake is.
Oh gosh.
And Dad comes running down with a bucket and he goes to me, don't tell my wife. Okay. So you could just imagine like the first words out of my mouth when the wife came down to pay me.
Oh gosh.
There was a snake. There's a snake in your kitchen.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Apparently the cats were bringing them in the house.
Oh my gosh. My cat would brought birds into my house all the time. And he would catch a bird and then let it go in our house because he's such a great cat bringing me this gift. And the birds would be flying all over the house in the kitchen, and we had to try to grab it to hoist it out every time. And then we started having little mice and chipmunks in the house, and we couldn't. We were like, "Where is this coming from?" And it was the cat. Cat brought him in, lets them go alive. He doesn't even kill it; he brings it alive, and then they're just running in the house. I'm gonna get rid of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Chipmunks I can live with. Mice I cannot.
No, I mean, chipmunks is cute. You're right, but I want them out of my house. I'm
Oh yeah.
sitting there with the bleach freaking out, like, oh my God, it touched everything. Throw those plates away.
Yeah. Now I've had a dog who brought me my golden retriever. And the first time he brought me a bird, I thought it was by accident because he was such a dopey golden retriever. So he comes up and he brings me this bird, and I'm like, okay. But again, I thought he found it in the backyard until he brought me another. And I was like, Rick, I appreciate the gift, but you know what? Let's not bring me any more birds.
Please.
Please. And you know what? He never did after that.
Really?
Really? I think it was the only time I had a miniature pinscher named Marcus at the time. I think it was the only time that he was like impressed with Rick. He was like, oh my God, that's impressive. If you finish with the bird, I'd like to have it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, and I know this is sidetracked from the topic, but my dog, I was going on a date with now my husband, but it was the first date, and my dog decides to bring back a live skunk and left it in our garage. And so I got sprayed. Obviously, the dog got sprayed. I had to cancel the date, and it wasn't until a few years later my husband was telling me, I thought you made up that lie just to cancel our date. And I was there, like the skunk smell was singeing in my eyes. She's like foaming at the mouth, and she's like, but look at this cute little thing running around. I'm taking a broom, trying to shoo it out. Oh God. What we do for these animals.
Exactly what we do for these animals.
Gosh.
All right. So you started off wrangle it back to topic.
Yes.
So you started off at PetSmart, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. So what happened from there?
So I started with PetSmart. I was there for probably about 5 years. And then I followed the flow with some of the employees and went to a Petco. And working at a Petco was where they asked me if I wanted to teach grooming. And at the time I was very young. I don't know, I was probably my lower 20s, 21, 22. And I taught one student there, and I wasn't fond with the corporate and how they were making us do things, and I decided to go ahead and open my own salon. So I opened a salon in Greenville, New Hampshire, and lasted a while until I met my husband, and we ended up moving. I ended up moving to Maine, and he moved lower. He was up like almost towards Canada, and we kind of met in the Elliott Wells area, and we ended up moving there. And I've worked at a few grooming salons. At the time, I was afraid to open up a salon, not knowing, because you move with a boyfriend, you're not sure if that's going to last or not. You don't want to make a hasty decision. I ended up working for a few salons, and then probably before COVID, I opened up my salon again. After opening my salon, COVID shut me down, and I was so bored. I was scissoring grass for just sitting there, just scissoring grass, and I ended up meeting with a woman, and she asked me to, she runs a school in New Hampshire and asked me to teach. And that's where I really, really found my passion for teaching, because I've reached the point in my industry, I've been doing this for probably 16-ish years now, and I'm ready to give back. And it was a lot of struggles what I went through because of lack of teaching and lack of knowledge. Unfortunately, what I learned the hard way. And if I can just change that for just one person to learn how to groom and to groom it correctly, and paying attention to not only the animals, but to themselves as well, and to the environment where they work, my job is done. That's what I really strive for. And working in the Hope Pen has made me do that. And it's a blessing to be able to give back what I love to do.
Oh, that's good, because you know what? This industry needs more people teaching.
Yes, it does.
There's such a shortage of
Yes.
groomers, and you can relate that directly to the number of educational opportunities to groom, because you can't necessarily expect to like walk into any given grooming shop and expect to be trained, because you know what, maybe the shop doesn't want to be bothered doing that. That's
Right,
not
right.
They're there to groom. They're not there to teach. Not
Right.
everybody wants to teach.
Right. And not everyone who wants to teach can teach. And that's another thing, and I feel that the grooming industry brings in so many neurodivergent types of minds
Thank you.
that it's you have to really know how to put yourself in each individual student to help them teach. I actually I was speaking with Michelle Knowles. I actually taught myself how to groom left-handed for the left-handed students that I had, because at one point I had 5 left-handed students, and I'm like, holy cow, let me see how to do this. I'm looking at the mirror and having them figure out the angles, and just in that way, trying to teach yourself something, a new skill set level to help this individual makes it so they are successful. Instead of saying, well, I do this right hand, so just figure it out as long as you get this outlook, it's rewarding, and it's nice when you can see that you can work with everyone's different mindset.
Yes. So, just a couple of facts that are probably not necessarily backed up, but this is generally what I hear. Okay. The general population for those who are neurodiverse is probably around 20% general, right? However, our industry, the pet industry, attracts a much larger than the average people who are neurodiverse to this industry, right? I've heard numbers of anywhere between 40 and 50% of groomers. And if you have that high a number of professionals who learn things differently, who need to have things broken down in a different manner, and when you don't do it, that's a problem too.
Right.
So, and I know you're part of the, in fact, by the time this airs, you will probably, the summit will already be over and done with.
Yes.
But Lorane is teaching a class in the Neurodiverse Summit, which is March 5th and 6th. So yeah, it's probably already going to be over with by the time this airs.
Yeah. And that's one of my true passion is working with people who are neurodivergent. Just from my self experience, I learned differently, and I wouldn't have never believed that I would be a groomer and be successful at it. B, be able to talk to somebody or even teach. Being in an interview and teaching for different expos. And helping somebody have their dream and be successful is so rewarding. I can't say it enough.
Oh, it is, because it's the next generation.
Right.
So, and for me, part of my passion about training people to be educators is that they understand that, we attract. I mean, for me, I have taken every single online test in existence. Okay. And I know they're not always 100% accurate, but you know what I get? You are so neurotypical. You're the poster child for that. Okay.
Oh gosh.
So,
You're the kind of puzzle piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, so for me, when I do things tend to be a little bit easier because all the teaching that's ever been done in my life has been geared for people like me.
Mhm.
All right. So now imagine that, because I look at some of my brothers, and my brothers, at least two of them, I think, were neurodiverse. They had a tough time in school,
Yeah.
you know, because their learning style wasn't accounted for. So it's nice
Right.
to see things change. My cousin became a special ed teacher because her son had what was diagnosed at the time as Asperger's.
Oh
And,
gosh. Yeah.
and there was like, at that time, there was nothing in the schools to help her son.
Yeah.
She became what was termed a special ed teacher so that she could help students like him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not that they can't do it. There's just a different learning style. And once you find it, you hone in on it and you're like, okay, I got it. Now we can move on.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? It doesn't matter who you are. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses.
Yeah. Yep.
And knowing how to work around the weakness is really can be the difference between being successful and not being successful.
Right. Right. And a part of knowing your weakness is accepting help. In this industry. I believe that we're so wrapped up in, every man for itself that I feel like if we could really join our heads together, we can really grow as the industry and really be valued instead of just a peck groomer.
Yes.
I'll never forget one time when I think it was like my 4th year in PetSmart. I ended up just seeing a old high school friend. And I'll never forget to this day, I'll never forget the look he gave me when he's like, oh, what are you up to with your life these days? And I told him, I'm a dog groomer and I absolutely love it. I'm trying to get all my, rankings up. And he's just like, oh, just a dog groomer? I would never trust my dog to go to a Petco or PetSmart. And that's how the conversation ended. And I'm just like, well,
Wow.
I was just speechless. And I was like, all right, we part our ways. And I'll never forget that. And I always wonder back, I wonder what became of that kid, just so quick to downplay what we do in this industry. We don't just make pretty haircuts. We do a lot more than that,
Yes.
And a lot with the behavior side and continuing your education. I continue my education as much as I can by doing online summits, by taking extra courses with the whole pet. I during COVID, I did everything that was available, every single thing. So I can, if I'm not working, I want to educate myself. And what is the best way to give that back is by teaching.
I had a former client, that we still keep in touch. And when COVID hit, and basically she was at home, okay, she was a school teacher. And so she was at home doing online stuff. And what she did is she went back to school. All right. So she went back to school online. And when COVID was basically things were getting back to normal, she opened up her own business for tutoring.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, everything is about perspective. It's how you view it,
Yeah.
So for me, initially, after the initial freak out over COVID, it turned out for my business to be like the best thing that happened to it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, and I don't say this a lot because some people had a really hard time, but I actually was happy for COVID because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't realize my superpower is teaching grooming. I love to groom. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love to groom, but my passion is teaching. And if it wasn't for COVID, I would have never gone to Texas to teach in the expo and, going to Idaho now to teach and doing this interview with you. Wouldn't have never thought this would be even possible if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah, so I think when you take a look at a situation and what it appears to be probably not the best, again, it's that perspective, and what are you going to do with that?
Right.
I have always said that I was so grateful for corporate for giving me that
Yes.
that opportunity to learn to groom, but I'm also at the same time really grateful that they pissed me off so much that it became a really unhappy place for me to work, for starting my own business, and then just always taking that next step,
Right.
stepping out of your comfort zone. There's no growth unless you step out of your comfort zone.
Right.
So for that, like I said, I'm grateful to corporate for that, because without corporate, I would not be here conducting the interview.
Yeah. And you said it just like that. Corporate made me so upset. I just went off on my own.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought that was a possibility.
Yeah, no. My thought was that, what, I knew at some point my husband was going to retire and we would go someplace else. But, I'm thinking I could just transfer anywhere. There's corporate places all over the place.
Yep.
I was going to be not a big thing. So we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Absolutely.
And we're back. All right. So, you know what, stepping out of your comfort zone to do something. Okay. And I know things can be a little rough to do that. All right. So when they pissed me off enough to put a deposit down on a mobile grooming van in 2001, when it was an unheard of industry, okay, that required a lot of time outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So if you have a dream, the thing is, I figured it out. Because I had to figure it out. I didn't know how to run a business. I had to figure out how to run a business. Okay. So I'm always grateful to the people who are, whatever it is that they're teaching something. All right.
Yeah.
Because someone had to teach me how to run a business. Someone had to teach me about how important taxes are. Making sure that you pay what you are supposed to be paying. Okay. I had a client that was an IRS agent, meaning he was the one that did the audits.
Yep.
All right. In fact, I had two of them.
Oh.
All right. And so there is like, I don't want to see you audited. So I'm just going to sit you down. I'm going to tell you what you need to do and make sure you're doing it legally. And I'm like, I will appreciate that.
Yes.
I do not wish to be called in on an audit. If I live my entire life never being audited, I can die happy. That could also, that could be like a life goal too, right?
Yeah.
Along with not learning how to drive, forgetting how to drive in the snow. Yeah. Those are two good, I think, life goals.
Yeah.
All right. So you're teaching grooming now. You're teaching at the Whole Pet Academy, correct?
Yep. In Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I work alongside with Dara, and it's been an amazing ride. With everything, there's always ups and downs, and with working at the facility, I run the salon. I also am the lead instructor. I have the pleasure to work alongside Chrissy Newmeyer Smith.
Oh, I love Chrissy.
Oh my gosh, we go out every Saturday. Well, we haven't been successful. We've been successful once, but we've been trying to say we go out every Saturday. She's just a wealth of knowledge. Not only is she a wealth of knowledge, she is an amazing colleague, and I'm happy to be able to say that she is one of my friends, and I'm fortunate to be working with her. And with working with the Whole Pet, I have Michelle Knowles and Jennifer Bishop Jenkins, who I can work with, and people that I've always looked up to And now I'm able to just, get to really know them and really understand where they're coming from and why they teach what they teach. And how do I, as, the next generation, be able to put that pedestal that's so high up even higher, following everyone's footsteps? And how do I make it so the people I teach are even higher than where I am?
Yeah. I say I adore Chrissy. So we had her on a podcast that for the traveling groomers, and that one just dropped. And she taught me something. Okay, because I have a little land shark. His name is Cecil. And Cecil needs to get insulin twice a day, and now he has to get eye drops.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So she was able to like direct me to how to do that. And I'm going to say it's been night and day. So if you don't think that listening to a trainer can't help you, you would be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the classes, let's see, when I took her classes, because I'm in the process of taking all of her classes. Well, if I can take every single class she does, I would be happy. But I think it's 15 years. She's changed my grooming. I mean, I at the time I was doing it for 15 years, and just her first class that I took has opened my eyes so ridiculously wide that just that one class was worth it. And it changed the way I groom. And now down to just, really evaluating and making these notes the way that she has brought into our attention. And she is above a lot of groomers that I see. She's to me, she's one of the best. And how she handles animals and how she goes about and how she is relatable to everyone she teaches, and speaking of neurodivergent, her classes are in forms that you can read it in transcript, you can see the slides of it, or you can listen to it. It's amazing. She's helped so many people really bring back the joy for the dogs on the grooming table. Because that's the thing, we can love it all day long, but the dogs can sit there like little Toto is going to be so scared in the corner. He hated it the whole time. And now she made it so people and the animals can have a good experience throughout the whole time.
Yeah. So a shout out to Chrissy.
Yes.
And has a wonderful podcast called Create Great Grooming Dogs.
Yes.
And it is whether you're a pet owner or a pet professional, her podcasts are really worth listening to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if you can catch just one, I always listen to all my shows and podcasts with kids in the background. You still a great listen.
Yes. Yes. All right. So okay, let's go a little off topic. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So do you have any podcasts that you like that are outside the pet industry?
Outside the pet industry, that's a good question. It's not so much podcasts, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Oh, me too.
To be honest, Chrissy keeps yelling at me how I need to be more involved in podcasts, but the only one I know how to get to is hers. And then I listen to yours, and then the whole pet has one as well via a live stream. But I like a lot. I just love books. I love history. I love fantasy. I'm actually listening to a book right now. I believe it's titled, Gaslighting and how to tell if you're trapped in an unhealthy environment. And
I love audiobooks.
Yeah, and this book is just teaching you the flags that, if you're stuck in a workplace or, a situation, whether it's family, work, and I love learning all aspects. If I can, I would like to learn it. But not so much podcasts. So if you have any podcasts, you tell me, and I would love to start really listening to them.
Okay, so the first one there's Barbara Burr's The Groom Pod.
Yes, I heard a lot about hers. I've never
That
listened
is
to
a
it though.
great podcast. Okay, so off the top of my head, all right. Barbara Bird's, all right. You'll spend a little time catching up with that. So I would start listening to hers, catch up, and then come see me for more suggestions.
I absolutely will do that, and you will hear back from me. Like Chrissy would be so proud. She's like, finally getting into podcasts. But I've heard a lot of good things about her podcast
Yes.
as well. And you're not the first one to say that I really need to start listening to them.
Yeah, no, it is a ton of knowledge. And they've been doing, Barbara and Susie have been doing that podcast for, I think they were 2 years before Chris and I started our podcasts.
Yes.
So there's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. So I got my work cut out for me.
Yes, you do. Go back to episode 1 and start from there.
Will do.
All right. So you're working on now being an educator in the pet industry. All right.
Yes.
I know you're going to be at the Teton show, which is a long show.
Yes, I'm very excited to be there. This will be my second show that I'll be teaching on.
Okay, so what will you be teaching at the Teton show?
I will be teaching a neurodivergent class with having a neurodivergent friendly workplace.
Okay.
I'll be teaching in customer service. I will be teaching left-handed grooming alongside Michelle Knowles. And there's one that I can't remember off the top of my head. We're doing a round table of customer service. So because, and I believe Chris will be involved in that as well. I'm not sure. I have different customers than your clients, and maybe my customer service might not really work for yours. And we thought having a round table of collective group of groomers talking about different situations that we've all seen and how it can be handled, so we can say, wow, that's a great idea. I never thought of it that way, because there's so many different ways that you can handle a situation and can still be correct.
Yes.
And so it's like a round table session that we're going to have with it, which
That's
is very
nice.
exciting. Yeah.
I look forward to it. Like I said, I was there last year as well too. And it's a nice show. It's well needed in the area.
Yes. Yeah.
So I look forward to being there.
Yeah. And looking forward to seeing you in person for once.
Oh yes, it'll be fun. Right. There's the restaurants in the area are phenomenal.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, you know what? Here's my deal. All right. I am a very even-keeled person, except when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So, but the restaurant at the hotel is okay. Leave it at okay. But the one right next door is fabulous.
No kidding. So I'd probably be living there for food.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty much where I'm going to be. And I was pleasantly surprised, because on our way out to leave to go, we wanted to eat before we left. And I think it was the Applebee's we went to. And, it's a chain. My expectations for a chain are just not very high.
Right.
It's generally serviceable food. I know what I'm getting. It'll be fine. And we stopped off there, and the food was actually some of the best Applebee's food I have ever had.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I was like, where did this come from? You guys.
It's funny you say that. So I'm a little bit, when I'm hungry and I need food, which is why you'll always see me, I have snacks, and I have friends who's like, oh, you look like you need a peanut butter cracker. Here you go.
Yeah. Listen, peanut butter and cheese crackers are the bomb.
Yep.
Hold on a second.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
All right, for those who are just listening, okay, and not watching the YouTube on this thing, it is a hangry kit. It's a little bag and
Oh my gosh.
it'll fit like a drink and some snacks so that,
You don't get hangry.
you don't get hangry like.
I'm gonna need one of those for myself and for my husband. We both fell from the same tree with the hangry,
Yeah.
issues.
If I tell you I'm hungry, we need to go and stop what we're doing and figure out where we're going to eat.
Yeah, and don't ask me where. I just want food.
And I'm pretty good with, when I'll eat almost anything you put in front of me.
Yep.
There's very little I won't at least try. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, I've had snails done 2 ways because
really
they were both gross.
Because I've tried them in Canada.
Yeah. And they were made 2 different ways. So there's no argument that, well, maybe you just need to have them made differently. No. I was in a French restaurant and they made them 2 totally different ways. And they were both gross.
In an amazing restaurant, I went and I was in a missions trip. We were building a church in Jamaica, and I was probably 15 at the time. And believe it or not, the best Chinese food I've ever had in my life that I still crave was in Jamaica.
Okay.
Don't know why, but it was the best Chinese food. I mean, everything was just so fresh. I still haven't had that anywhere here.
Yeah. Okay. We got a decent Chinese restaurant here. And I will, things on crab rangoon and egg rolls. You make them well, everything else is like secondary.
Yep.
So yeah, we have a place and I just know where it is. It's in the parking lot here in Squim where the coastal is. So if you're listening in Squim, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Got a blue roof. Okay. And the food there is good. The egg rolls, the crab rangoons are phenomenal.
Oh gosh, yes. Let me ask you this: homemade duck sauce?
I haven't had that yet. I've had their chicken chow mein. Oh, actually, I take it back. Yes, I did have it with my egg roll, and it was very good.
Yes.
So yeah, food is very important. Well-prepared food is even better. There is at Super Zoo, there's at the Mandalay Bay, there's an Asian restaurant there, and their duck soup is to die for.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm hungry. I'm about to make dinner after this interview. So
yeah, I'm thinking right. Yeah, it's getting close to dinner time.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're talking about food, now watching the clock, I'm like, yeah. I've got no snacks right here on my desk.
Me either. We're in the process of remodeling our house, so my office is an interesting box with a paint and wood.
That's okay. I give you props for like redoing a house and not like just simply burning it to the ground, starting all over.
Yeah, I thought about it. We're moving the kitchen from upstairs to downstairs.
Oh my, you're doing a real remodel.
Yeah.
No. That's when we moved out here. We had bought land years ago. And so we were with the intention at some point we were going to build, and we did. So I moved into a brand new built house.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, this was about 20 years old, so it's not old. It's not old, but it's in a private road in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a farm. And actually, my dog's outside right now playing with the other neighbors' dogs and the horses and cows.
Okay, but not the skunks.
Oh gosh, I hope not the skunks. I
have not seen a skunk in this area since I've been here.
Really? I saw one last night, now that I think of it, crossing the road.
Yeah, no, I've not seen. Well, we also have coyotes, cougars, mountain lions, bears. We also have eagles, birds of prey. And so there's not a lot of really small animals, none that we see.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you see them, so do the other predators.
yep, and they won't be around.
They will not be around. I think so far that I have lived here in almost 4 years, I think I have seen like 3 squirrels and an
Wow,
opossum. Yeah.
wow. Not for me. There's a lot of squirrels, chipmunks, but where we live, there is we're on the route. There's an eagle nest a little bit off our property, a bald eagle, and then there's 3 more in direct route. So we see bald eagles all the time.
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah. I've
quite
got,
amazing.
I mean, I've got little snack-sized dogs, so
Oh yeah,
so where the dogs go out, we have like wire over that thing so that they come down. I mean, yeah, my 4 male dogs can be jerks, yes, but however, they are my jerks
yep. No one else.
and no one else's, and I don't want them to be lunch and dinner for an eagle and his family.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, have you ever seen those harnesses with the spikes for those reasons?
Yes, I have seen them.
I've never seen them. I've just heard about them.
I know, no, I've not seen them in person. I've heard about them, and I've known people who've used them very successfully. But however, there's 4 of them. That means I got to put jackets on 4 of them every time they go out. It
Yeah,
is much easier just to make an enclosure so that they can go out
yeah.
at will, and I don't have to worry about them.
Right, right. Yeah, so much easier.
So much easier. I mean, Pooh Bear probably would enjoy wearing his spiky jacket, but you know what? I've got a dachshund here and his sibling, and putting a jacket on him is, yeah, I'm probably gonna get hurt putting that jacket on him.
I have a Beauceron. He's 4 months old, and I thought putting a cute little jacket on him would be hilarious. But with his dopey paws and head, and he ended up booping my nose and crunched it so hard I had tears coming out, and then it cut my lip by just pawing me, and I'm like, yeah, no
Yeah,
jackets, no.
no jackets for you. So sorry. I like my face the way it is, and I like my fingers the way they are, and we're just gonna kind of leave it at that.
Yep, yep.
You know? So when the few times that it is cold enough to wear a jacket here, then they're not outside too long. They go
Right.
out, business, they come right back in. They're like, I'm
Yep.
cold.
Yeah.
I had a little chihuahua who literally had like no coat. Okay. And this is back when I lived in Connecticut. Right? So I crocheted him this heavy duty sweater. All right. My own blood, sweat, and tears went into it. Right. He hated that thing.
Oh gosh.
He would figure out how to get one leg out so he could pee on it. So I would have to take it off and wash him.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And meanwhile, it's like the snow drifts are way taller than he is. Okay. And he's got no fur. It's freezing out there, but he'd rather freeze than
Then
put
wear
that.
your jacket.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No sweater. Sorry you made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kudos to you because I made an Afghan, I crocheted an Afghan. And it took me a year to crochet this one. And then I brought, when we got shut down, I'm like, oh, this is the time to crochet another blanket. That was 2020. I have this much. However, it is the length of a king bed, but still this much.
Okay. Well,
Maybe when I listen to my podcast, I'll be able to.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
5 years from now, there's so much. 5 years from now, I would like to be successfully having a school that's running really well-rounded, like a nice greased machine engine. I would like to do more traveling education for people who don't have the ability to travel, you know, just to one show. But my main thing is I would like to put out the education out there and try to travel more and be more part of the expos.
Good. And you know what? I have no doubt that that will happen.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I do have a supporting family, which is it makes it a little bit easier.
Make it a whole lot easier when you go out and you
Mhm.
travel. Yes.
Yes,
So Lorraine, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I really appreciate it.
thank you so much.
And everybody join us next week when I interview another woman making a difference in the pet industry.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and have a great evening.